welcome. And thank you for joining me on this quiet journey back into the streets and training yards of ancient Rome. Tonight, we'll explore a life that few truly understood, a life of constant discipline, relentless training, and endless uncertainty. Imagine yourself stepping into the heart of the Roman world, where every sound, every smell, every glance carried meaning. The roar of the crowd, the clatter of sandals on cobblestones, the scent of sweat mingling with straw. These are the textures of a world very different from our own, yet lived by people who, in their own way, were just as human as we are today. Tonight, we will follow the lives of the gladiators. Those warriors who entertained Rome, survived through discipline, and faced a reality few could imagine. We'll explore the daily grind of their existence, the struggles and triumphs of the most famous among them, the mysteries of their schools and hidden lives, and finally, the world of those who watched and profited from their labor. So, find a comfortable place, let your body relax, and allow your mind to drift gently into a story of sweat, struggle, and quiet resilience, far away from the comforts of modern life. Imagine yourself waking before the sun, in a space so small it barely allows room to stretch. The walls are bare, the floor rough with straw and dust. You share this cramped space with other young men, all of you bound together by circumstance, by fate, and by the constant weight of expectation. Your day begins with the routine, exercise, drills, and rigorous training. Your body, still young and capable, is pushed to the limit with repeated movements designed to condition muscle, endurance, and reflex. Each swing of a wooden sword, each fall onto the straw, each practice strike is repeated over and over until it becomes second nature, or until exhaustion takes over. The diet is carefully controlled, high in protein, heavy in grains, meant to build muscle, but simple and repetitive. Lentils, barley, bread, occasionally meat, never enough variety to satisfy desire, but always enough to keep the body fueled. The food is functional, not enjoyable, and the process of eating is hurried, a necessity to prepare for the next grueling session. Evenings are spent in modest shared quarters. Conversations are minimal, whispers the only relief from the silence of shared confinement. The air is thick with the scent of unwashed bodies, straw and sweater. Constant reminder of your proximity to others and the relentless nature of your life. Sleep comes in short bursts, broken by the rising sun and the call to train once again. In the training yard, you learn with weapons designed for practice, but sometimes for real danger. Wooden swords, weighted shields, and the constant scrutiny of instructors who demand precision, speed, and endurance. Mistakes are not forgiven lightly. Each misstep is a lesson in humility and consequence. Your movements, though rehearsed countless times, are always measured against the standard of survival. In addition to physical training, there is a constant mental pressure. You are taught to anticipate, to react, to endure pain and discomfort. The rhythm of your day is unchanging, dictated by masters and by necessity, a relentless loop of repetition that molds not just your body, but your mind. There is little room for rest, little room for distraction. Your world is confined, regimented, and demanding. The community of your fellow gladiators becomes both a comfort and a mirror of your own hardships. You observe their exhaustion mirrored in your own limbs, their quiet determination reflecting the discipline that is demanded of you. Bonds are formed silently in the shared understanding of struggle. Even beyond the training, there is the looming presence of the arena. Whispers of battles, of fame and death thread through your daily life. You catch glimpses of spectators, distant yet omnipresent. Their voices a reminder that your labor is not merely for survival, but for spectacle. Yet, for now, the arena is distant, and your world consists of drills, food, and the small, measured tasks of daily life. Imagine yourself in this world, waking, training, eating, resting, and training again. The rhythm is unending, the days long, the rewards sparse. And yet, within this daily grind, there is a strange form of purpose, a clarity that comes from knowing exactly what is demanded of you, even if it is relentless, even if it is exhausting. The life of a gladiator is far from glamorous. It is rigorous, regimented, and at times exhausting to the point of monotony. Yet it is also a life that shapes character, endurance, and resolve, a life you would quickly learn is not for the faint of heart. Imagine yourself in a small village somewhere on the edge of the Roman Empire more than 2,000 years ago. The sun rises over rough hills, the air is filled with the scent of smoke and damp earth, and the rhythm of life is steady, predictable but often unforgiving. It is here that Spartacus begins his story, not as a legendary figure, but as a man shaped by circumstance, struggle, and resilience. Spartacus was once a soldier, trained to obey, to march, to endure. His life followed the cadence of discipline, the constant drills, the ordered commands of those in charge. Yet, as so often happens in the ancient world, fate intervened, captured, enslaved, and sent to a training school for gladiators. Spartacus's life took on a new form of rigor, a new form of confinement. He became part of a system designed not only to entertain, but to demand perfection, endurance, and submission. In the days and months of his early training, he would have learned the precise movements required of a gladiator, the weight of shields and swords, the timing of strikes, and the discipline of observation. Each day was a repetition of the last, training at dawn, meals at set hours, rest only as the instructors allowed. Yet within him, the spark of desire for freedom and autonomy began to grow. Spartacus's story is not one of immediate rebellion, but of small, careful observations, of patience, of quiet planning. When the opportunity arose, he and a small group of fellow gladiators escaped, slipping away from the confines of the school into forests and hills where Rome's authority felt distant, almost intangible. Imagine the relief of first feeling the open air, the sensation of grass beneath your feet instead of straw, the quiet murmurs of companions planning cautiously for survival. As the group grew, so did the challenge of leadership. Spartacus was no longer merely a participant in rigorous drills. He became a strategist, a guide, a voice of reason among men driven by both fear and hope. His growing band of escaped gladiators moved through Italy, gathering others who sought escape from oppression, creating a fleeting community bound by trust, discipline, and the shared goal of freedom. Their victories, small and large, were calculated. Skirmishes with Roman forces, careful raids on towns, the collection of supplies, the subtle orchestration of strategies were not chaotic or glamorous battles. They were measured, deliberate, survival-driven encounters. Every movement had consequence. Every decision could mean life or death, freedom or capture. Even as the rebellion grew, the constant threat of Roman legions lingered. Spartacus's life was a balance between hope and risk, planning and improvisation, leadership and exhaustion. He had to consider not only tactics, but the welfare of those he led, the distribution of resources, and the morale of men living in perpetual uncertainty. Each night, he would have considered the challenges of the next day. The march, the ambushes, the need to remain unseen until the time was right. Throughout all of this, there is a deeply human element. Spartacus was not merely a figure of legend. He was a man who experienced fear, doubt, and fatigue. He felt the burden of responsibility, the weight of leadership pressing upon his shoulders. He also experienced fleeting moments of triumph, brief instants when freedom seemed possible, when the bonds of his enslaved life were temporarily broken by courage, planning, and determination. Yet, as history tells us, even the most brilliant efforts are often constrained by circumstances. Spartacus and his companions faced the inexorable pressure of Rome's military power, logistical challenges, and internal strains. Their rebellion, though extraordinary, ultimately met with overwhelming opposition. But in understanding his life, we see more than victory or defeat. We see endurance, ingenuity, and the human desire for freedom, even within a world structured for submission. So imagine walking alongside Spartacus, not in the chaos of battle, but in the quiet moments between marches, the whispered plans at night, the careful rationing of food, and the camaraderie built from shared hardship. The world is vast and often dangerous, but there is a rhythm, a measured beat to each day, echoing the life he once led as a gladiator and now as a fugitive seeking autonomy. Spartacus's story is, at its heart, about the tension between constraint and desire, between discipline and freedom. And as we move forward, we will explore some of the mysteries and hidden facets of gladiatorial life that even legends like Spartacus could not fully reveal. Imagine walking through an overgrown field just outside an ancient Roman town. The sun is low, casting soft shadows across broken stones, and the air is still, carrying the faint scent of earth and grass. Here, long ago, gladiators trained, lived, and prepared for the arena. Today, much of their world has vanished, leaving only traces mysterious ruins. Inscriptions and silent reminders of lives that once moved with strength and purpose. Gladiator schools, known as ludi, were not just places of training. They were small, self-contained worlds. Archaeologists have uncovered remnants of these schools, often hidden beneath layers of later buildings or buried by centuries of soil. Imagine narrow courtyards where young men practiced with wooden swords, the rhythmic clash of shields echoing faintly against stone walls. Dormitories were modest, plain, and functional, with little decoration. Every corner tells a story of endurance, repetition, and the quiet resilience of those who passed through. Some of the most intriguing discoveries are inscriptions etched into walls and floors, graffiti left by hands long gone, names, dates, brief notes of longing, and even small doodles of helmets and swords reveal a human side of the gladiators. These markings are subtle, easily overlooked, yet they speak volumes about the men behind the legends. They reveal humor, fear, pride, and even love, a reminder that behind the armor and the discipline, these were young men with thoughts and emotions like our own. Then there are the burial grounds, quiet and solemn, often located outside city walls. These cemeteries hold remains of gladiators, sometimes arranged with care, sometimes in simple rows. Archaeologists study them not only for bones, but for artifacts, amulets, personal items, and small trinkets placed with care. These objects provide insight into the daily lives, beliefs, and values of those who once trained and fought here. Some graves hint at ritual or respect, suggesting that even in death, the social order of the arena influenced how these men were remembered. Beyond the physical remnants, there are questions that continue to intrigue scholars. What were the true relationships between gladiators and their masters? How did daily routines vary between schools in Rome and in distant provinces? Were some gladiators secretly revered or treated with fear despite their low social status? These mysteries remind us that the ancient world was layered and complex, and that even the most famous arenas were just the surface of a deeper, quieter history. Consider also the artifacts of training: wooden practice swords with worn handles, small shields with dents from countless hits, and weights used to build strength. Each piece, unearthed from soil and dust, offers a tactile connection to the past. Imagine holding one, feeling the smooth wood beneath your fingers, sensing the countless hours of labor and repetition it has witnessed. Even the locations of the schools themselves carry stories. Some were located near busy roads, designed for observation and recruitment. Others were secluded, hidden from public view, emphasizing the intense focus required for survival. The mystery of their placement, the variations in architecture, and the artifacts left behind all combine to create a sense of a world that was both ordinary in its daily repetition and extraordinary in its quiet complexity. As you imagine these spaces, let the calm of the earth, the soft light, and the distant echoes of footsteps carry you further into the quiet lives of gladiators. These mysteries are not puzzles meant to excite or startle, but gentle whispers from history, inviting reflection, curiosity, and a slow, thoughtful immersion into a world long past. By now, you can almost sense the contrast between this hidden, disciplined world and the grandeur of the spectators who watched from above the emperors, wealthy patrons, and citizens whose comfort and amusement depended on the sweat, endurance and courage of the men below. And that brings us naturally to the final segment, a closer look at the lives of those who profited from the gladiators' labor in comfort and luxury. Now, shift your attention away from the training yards and quiet burial grounds, and imagine yourself walking into a bustling arena. The stone seats rise high above, the sun glinting off polished marble, and the air filled with anticipation, the murmurs and laughter of thousands. You are no longer in the confined dormitories of the gladiators, but among the spectators, the wealthy citizens, the powerful, and even the emperor himself. For these elites, life was markedly different. Comfort replaced toil, and leisure replaced labor. The amphitheater offered not just entertainment, but an opportunity to display status and influence. The emperor, seated in his special box, watched the events unfold with careful calculation, using the spectacle to reinforce authority and maintain favor among the people. The wealthy sponsors who funded games and training schools moved through the arena with ease. Their attention divided between socializing, networking, and observing the unfolding drama. Imagine their garments, flowing tunics of soft fabric, sandals polished to a shine, jewelry that caught the sunlight. Imagine the smells, not of sweat and straw, but of perfumes, food, and the occasional breeze from the sea. Their meals were rich, prepared by servants, often shared in conversation or quiet reflection, while gladiators practiced and trained tirelessly. These spectators could enjoy an entire afternoon of spectacle, cushioned by status and privilege. The relationship between these two worlds, the gladiators below and the elites above, was delicate and complex. Gladiators were admired, feared, and sometimes romanticized for their courage, yet they remained under strict control. Sponsors and emperors depended on them for entertainment, for political stability, and for the reinforcement of social hierarchy. Without the gladiators' labor, skill, and endurance, the lives of the elites would lack the spectacle that defined public life in Rome. Yet, even in this world of comfort, there were pressures, subtle and constant. Wealth came with expectations, public generosity, the obligation to fund games, and the need to maintain influence. Senators and patrons carefully navigated social relationships, balancing favors, debts, and appearances. While the gladiators' challenges were physical, the elites' challenges were social, political, and psychological. A quieter but no less real form of struggle. Imagine yourself moving through these spaces, feeling the contrast. One moment you are surrounded by the noise, sunlight, and energy of spectators. The next, you recall the quiet rooms of training, the shared dormitories, and the endless drills. The difference is stark, yet both worlds are intimately connected, each dependent on the other. In reflecting on this, you begin to appreciate the balance of Roman society, discipline and leisure, labor and observation, risk and comfort. The lives of the gladiators were harsh, repetitive, and disciplined, yet they made the arena possible. The lives of the spectators were privileged, leisurely, and carefully orchestrated, yet their existence depended on the men below. Both are part of the same rhythm, a delicate balance of endurance and indulgence. As the day in the arena comes to an end and the shadows lengthen over the stone seats, it is worth pausing to consider the passage of time. The roar of the crowd fades, the sun dips toward the horizon, and the world grows quiet once more. Gladiators return to their dormitories, reflecting on the routines and rituals that will begin again with the next sunrise. Spectators return to their villas and streets, the memory of excitement slowly settling into calm reflection. Now, as we leave the world of ancient Rome behind, allow yourself to carry the rhythm of these lives into your own space. The steady repetition of a gladiator's drills, the quiet determination of Spartacus, the whispers of long-buried schools, and the contrasting luxury of the Elite form a gentle tapestry of human experience.